Hey guys, how's everyone doing? It is your host, Brad Bodnarchuk, and as always, I am so glad you guys are here back on the Half a Dozen Hospitality Podcast. I'm coming to you today with just myself, the mic, and if you're over on YouTube, the camera as well. I'm always so blessed to have you guys tuning into this show, and I wanted to hop on here with just myself as I wanted to start sharing more of my experiences that I'm seeing and witnessing through my consulting work and share them with you guys. See, I feel like the majority of our listeners on this show have either a high interest in what goes on in hospitality or are either working in hospitality actively. And my vision is, hey, can I share some of these things that I'm realizing in the real world with my clients and also learning with some of my guests on the podcast, but tidy them up in one package and start sharing them with you all. And perhaps you are either a head chef or an owner of a restaurant, or you're a member of a leadership group, and you can take some of these nuggets and pearls and apply them to the space that you work in and maybe mitigate some of the issues that come up in our industry so often. So today I wanted to talk about communication. And communication for me is and will always be the most important aspect to the success of a business. And it will also be the major indicator if the business is not successful. So with communication, the reason I wanted to bring that up is I'm seeing it more and more with my clients and hearing it from my guests as well, that it is really the key to making or breaking your business. So when we talk about communication, what are we actually talking about? And the word communication can get really thrown around and complicated for a lot of us in every different industry. But in the hospitality in particular, let's just break it down on what it needs to be day in and day out to ensure that we're moving our business forward. And to move our business forward, we need to do what? We need to make sure we have our fingers on the pulse of what's going on within our business or within our business is. So something as simple as the pre-shift meeting. There's a lot of restaurants, hotels, cafes, bars, bakeries that do this religiously, and there are a lot that don't. I think this is such a low-hanging piece of fruit for us in this industry that is super unique to us because of the shift work that we have, is implementing a pre-shift meeting where you as a leadership group or you as the owner or you as the manager or the head chef bring everyone together and do kind of a status check-in on everyone, but also update everyone on anything that you feel is imperative for the shift that you're about to get into. But also checking in, like I said, checking in with everyone. And that's what we'll keep coming back to through this podcast, is checking in with your staff and how important that is. But through the pre-shift, that's a great way to open up conversation, check in with everyone, see how everyone's doing, and doing it in a way that you're not singling anybody out, doing it in a way that makes everyone feel comfortable enough to share, and also doing it in a way that's going to save time for you as far as either sharing a message or helping to make sure something is understood. Doing it in a group atmosphere is such a efficient way of getting that done. So if you are out there right now and you are running a restaurant, a bar, or anything else in the hospitality space that really is reliant on that shift style of work where you have either one shift ending and one starting, or it's just kind of the middle of the day and everyone's coming in and then the shift begins, I have to ask, if you're not currently doing this, why are you not? And the excuse of I'm just too busy, for me, is not a good enough excuse. We are all busy. Every industry is busy. Every person is busy. But we as leaders in this space, in this industry, need to be taking more advantage of the time that we do have and maybe pumping the brakes a bit, taking a deep breath and going, you know what? It would be very advantageous of me to have this pre-shift, to have this check-in, get some messages across that I've been meaning to communicate, and then move forward. It's not, for me, a good enough excuse to say there's no time in my day to do a pre-shift. Other industries do it, but I feel like those that do it in our space do it so well, and we can learn so much from them. So taking 10, 15, 20 minutes. Hey, if you got it even a half hour to do a real deep dive on what's going on in the business, then I would highly recommend doing that. If a pre-shift is something you're already doing and you still think that your communication can be improved, what can we do next? I think one-on-one check-ins are probably the most effective way to really keep your finger on the pulse, like I keep saying, of your business. So what does that look like, and how are you actually conducting it? And here's where you, as a leader in your space, and this really applies to any business, but obviously I'm speaking specifically to the hospitality industry because that's what I know so well. But these individual check-ins can be done. Heck, they can be done in any industry, even any relationship, a friendship, an intimate relationship. These check-ins for me, again, are imperative to ensuring the success of a relationship, the success of a business. And these check-ins need to be sincere as well. So when you step into these check-ins with your staff or with your coworkers, you need to make sure that not only are you prepared to hold space for them and actually listen, but you're also prepared to ask the right questions to get the information that you are looking to get out of your staff or out of your team. So I can't really give you a list of like the questions to ask. You'll know best what those are, but it's all about how you ask those questions and how you are communicating. So when you're having one-on-ones, make sure you're doing it in the right environment. Someone feels safe enough to share with you. So I'm a big believer of, if I'm going to be working, say, in the kitchen for the next 4 to 8 hours, getting out of the kitchen to do this is probably the best bet. So like go sitting at the bar or go for a walk and grab a coffee. Do this, change the environment up, and it's going to allow for your staff and your team to feel a little bit more comfortable and be open to sharing a little bit more. And when they're more open to sharing and just more open to communicating, it may allow you to successfully get your message across as well. So one-on-ones are imperative. I'm not so much concerned about the questions that we do ask, but I'm more concerned about how we ask them. And all you really need to think about when you are thinking about, okay, well, how do I ask them? What language do I use? Just be empathetic and be sensitive to the point where you're allowing for them to just share openly. And I think the cool thing about our industry is there's so many different personality types within our industry that it really keeps us as the leaders of the space, really keeps us on our toes in regards to every different person needs and requires a different approach. But it's no different than looking at, say, a table that walks in off the street. They are going to be different than the table that you just sat 10 minutes ago. They may be similar in certain ways, but there are going to be differences about people that you deal with in this industry, not only your guests, but also your staff. Be very, very aware of what it's going to take for you to communicate successfully with that individual or with your staff as a whole. So communication for me is imperative, whether it is a group setting like a pre-shift or whether it is a one-on-one. And again, I just can't buy the excuse that we don't have the time. I feel a lot of us out there, a lot of restaurants that either have been clients or I would love to be clients and love to help out, they seem like they're a bit lethargic. They seem like they're a bit disinterested. And I get it. And I've talked about it before and I've written about it before on my blog, is this industry asks so much from us. And that is just the brutal truth of it. But there are a lot of very brutal industries out there that ask a lot of the people that are in it, but they somehow find a way. And I think if we can find a way, I'm pretty confident, 96.9%, I haven't done the numbers, but I'm pretty confident if you can improve the communication you have within your business in the restaurant industry, you will see success. You will see things change. And all I'm asking from my clients and all I'm asking from anyone that's listening, if you are in the position to lead this, to lead the communication, find it within yourself to get the energy to do it and watch what happens around you. Watch how more involved your staff is. Watch how they feel they have a bigger sense of ownership, how they feel like they're actually being heard. What I don't like seeing, and I see far too often, is we just kind of go day by day, and every day is just, the exact same thing. And heck, this happens in relationships. I've been in them myself, where you just take advantage, or not take advantage, but you take for granted, pardon me, the fact that this person's going to be there, and you just go through the process every day and it's the same and it gets mundane. And I see that happening in a lot of restaurants where people just look disengaged. We need to re-engage these people. We need to make sure they feel a part of something, and that all happens through communication. And I'm reminded as I look over to my right here, this book, Setting the Table, if you haven't read it, I talk about it often. Danny Meyer is someone that I look up to. I've yet to meet Danny. I would love to have him on the podcast, but he is someone that I think has really mastered the art of communication, not only with his teams. I haven't actually witnessed him communicating with his team, but how he communicates his message and his story when he is speaking with the media, for me, is just so eloquent, but also done in such a way that it comes across as very sincere. And that sincerity is what I think brings so much attraction to someone like Danny Meyer, and why people want to keep working for Danny Meyer. There's something that I marked here on page 78. I underlined it. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera or not. I'm just going to pick it up. But he mentions shared ownership. He says, when we take an active interest in the guests at a restaurant, we create a sense of community and a feeling of shared ownerships. So he's talking here about his guests, but this exact same thing applies to his staff and our staff as well. When we do this, when we take that approach, we give our staff, through communication, through healthy communication, we give them the feeling of, as he puts it, shared ownership. And that is an invaluable piece of your business. Do that, create ownership, make them feel heard, make them feel a part of something, all through positive communication, and just watch the reality around you change. If you guys are interested to learn more about how I would work with someone, work with a team on communicating, please do reach out. The website is bradbodnarchuk.com. You can email me at brad@bradbodnarchuk.com as well, or hit me up on social media. It's just at Brad Bodnarchuk. I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into this podcast and supporting everything that I've done from the get-go. It has been a whirlwind for me the past, I guess, year and almost a year and a half doing this podcast and then launching my business. And I wouldn't be where I'm at without all of your support, whether it is a message on Instagram or an email or a client that I've worked with. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to take the opportunity right now where it's just you, me, and the mic to say thank you so much. So if you are a subscriber, thank you. If it's your first time listening, thank you so much. And I just want to say, if you're out there and thinking about doing something similar to this, maybe you want to be a restaurant consultant. Maybe you want to do some sort of consulting in a different industry. Maybe you just aren't enjoying what you're doing right now. If I can be of any assistance to you guys and help you understand maybe my process that worked for me, which may not work for you, but if I can help at all, please do reach out. Kind of off on a tangent there. That's not about communication, but it works. That's it from me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. You know what to do. Until next time. Be good and do good. I'm out.